Good morning. It's great to be here, and I want to thank Barb for inviting me to speak. When we were originally talking, the thing that came up for both of us is the importance of really replenishing ourselves. You are the leaders, the visionaries, and the healers in your communities, in your homes, and in your businesses. And it is so important that you, of all people, maintain that connection with your own spirit. And if you, like me, are busy and focused, at times you, like me, may find yourself getting a little ragged around the edges. So what I'd like to share with you today is the opportunity to just replenish the well, to really go in deep to the quiet stillness within you, and just check in and draw from that infinite source what it is that you need today. As healers, as teachers, as leaders, and as visionaries, we give so much. And in our giving, we may create habits or patterns where we're forgetting to recharge and come back. So to begin with, what I'd like to do is just spend a few minutes with this mini bowl. This bowl is wonderful. For me, it always brings me back to that place that allows reflection, and that place that reminds me of my connection. This is F sharp. It corresponds to the thymus, so the midpoint between the heart and communication. It promotes our immune system, and again, it's just a wonderful opportunity to align to the vibration of spirit. So we'll just take a couple of minutes, and as we do this, you may want to close your eyes and just connect, and again, go into the silence. As an intuitive development specialist, I am very passionate about intuition. I'm very passionate about really encouraging others to stay connected to their source. And in that passion comes a reminder. We all have challenges that keep us or distract us from that connection. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is the chance to take a look at your life, to observe it, and just become aware of the times or the spaces or the places where that connection doesn't feel as solid as you'd like it to feel. James Allen, who wrote the book As a Man Thinketh, has a wonderful, wonderful phrase that I'd like to read to you today. The spirit of man is inseparable from the infinite and can be satisfied with nothing less than the infinite. And we as spiritual beings know that. And it's so important that in observing our day-to-day lives that we recognize the times when we forget that. This last week I was very, very privileged having a very understanding husband and recognizing that in order for me to really stay in line to my intuitive connection, I need to be alone. I need to have that quiet time and that quiet space to hear the voice within. So I took this week off, away from kids, away from home, away from demands, and it was wonderful. But you know, it was really, really hard to do. It was a very courageous step because I was letting go of expectation of what it is to be a mom and what it is to be a leader in my work. And I took a week off and said no to any calls that came in. So sometimes the little things can take the biggest amount of courage. It's the little things. So my question for you today, what little thing do you know that you can do that will bring huge results to your life? There's always a price to pay. And we all know that the price is worth it. So on my travels this week, as I took the time out to be alone, to just blossom again to my connection to Source, to the infinite, to fill that space inside of me with the infinite, my travels took me to the Fraser River. And as I'm watching the river, allowing nature to bring me back to flow and back to oneness, I was reminded of some lovely verses from Scripture that I learned when I was very young. From the book of Psalms, we are reminded that we are like trees planted by living water. And our leaf does not wither, and all that we do prospers. Beautiful, beautiful image, drawing from the living water. But there are times in our work where it feels like our leaves do wither. We get tired. There's always so much to do, and it's very easy to get caught up in the overwhelm. Very easy, because we're givers, to get caught up in the habit of giving, 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 and not replenishing. So I was reminded, as I'm watching the river, and all these beautiful trees planted by the river, vibrant in the spring. You could smell the blossoms, and the birds are overhead, and the sun is shining, and it was glorious. There's also a phrase from Scripture that talks about having no false gods before us. And as I was looking at the river, I noticed that I had put my box of files that I brought with me to work on sitting right in front of my view of the river. And that box of files reminded me that even as a spiritual teacher and healer, I have to be very careful of not having false gods before me. The false god of expectation, the false god of not having enough time, the false god of having to do it all at my own expense. I know better. So what is it that keeps me from recharging? What is it that keeps me from going back to my source? What is it that keeps my work vibrant, joyful, joyful, alive, and passionate. Simply remembering to take time to check in, to revitalize. We're all very familiar with the secret right now, which has caught the attention of mainstream, and it's, oh right, this is great, wonderful. And we're reminded to come back to our joy. We're reminded to pay attention to how we're feeling vibrationally. And if we're not feeling good, that's a sign to come back to our center. It's a sign that we're evolving, that we are growing. Again, James Allen published in the early 60s, and we all know the information of the secret is no secret. It's been here for a long time. The question is, are we working it? Because the universe is expanding, we are expanding, that invitation to work it is always going to be there. And so again, as leaders, visionaries, teachers, healers, it's so important. More and more is being asked of us. And it's so important that more and more we're bringing in. Taking time out to be by the river. Taking time out to remember that these false gods are like weeds. They distract our view. They take our energy away from our real work. And our real work is to experience and express spirit. So, my question for you today is, going into the silence within yourself right now, and going into the silence of what your vision of your work is, are you allowing expectation to get the better of you? Having goals and vision is vitally important. But enjoying the process and taking the wisdom and the inspiration that we have inside of us and making that personal connection and living it, expanding it. The one thing the movie The Secret doesn't talk about, which I feel it should, is that we can meet challenges along the way. We do go into the dark night of the soul. And just because we're doing this work doesn't mean that stops. In fact, it's probably accelerated. And so when we go into the place of the void, that place of not feeling connected, using the tools that keep us in that space, using the tools. What are your strategies for staying and feeling connected, even when it doesn't feel that way? What is the next step for you right now? So much of our lives are spent in planning and in the being part of intuition, in the embracing part of intuition, in the expanding part of intuition. Is the joyful, peaceful, quiet place where we know. We just know. And so I have some questions for you. If you had to rate your energy level for the past week on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you be? If you had to rate how you feel about the results in your life from a scale of 1 to 10, where would you be? If you had to rate how you feel about time, scheduling, things to get done, where would you be? And there are no right or wrong answers. There just is. Sometimes we're going to be at a 2 or a negative 200. And sometimes we're going to be at a 10. Just know where you are. Intuitively, we all know what to do to bring us back to our center, to come back to the joy within. So being aware of the false god in our lives is vitally, vitally important. And you know, the thing about intuition, it always asks you to go into what you don't know. Don't you hate that? Sometimes it's fun, but sometimes it kind of gets you here. And it's that going into what we don't know. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I just get clean scared. It's not comfortable. It's hard. And sometimes it hurts. But again, as James Allen pointed out so eloquently, the spirit of man is inseparable from the infinite and can be satisfied with nothing less than the infinite. So in those times, to remember that yes, we are infinite beings. And when we think of words like karma, soul purpose, what I found so helpful this last week in coming back and taking the time to recharge was just to remember I came here to hurt, but I also came to love. I came here to experience fear, but I also came to transcend that. And I came here to fully be me. And sometimes the false god of comparison can come in and say, well, so-and-so has done this and that and this and that, and you're still way over here. What's wrong with you? Comparison can be a wonderful thing, but it can also become a false god. So be aware. Comparison, expectation. The other thing about intuition, the end result never looks like what we expected it to be, does it? And so sometimes we have to let go of our preconceived notions. So again, there's the surrender, the letting go, the dying to self. So how wonderful that each of you are here today. How wonderful that you come here today to feed your soul and your spirit, to honor your mission. How wonderful. And how wonderful that as we evolve and grow, we recognize and identify some of the false gods that we do have in our lives. How wonderful. That's a good thing. Because when we know it, we can work it. And because we are the infinite expressing, we have everything we need. We are everything we need. And that is cause for celebration. And that is cause for joy. And that is cause for excitement. So my invitation to you this week is to celebrate who you are as you are. Nothing we need to do. And if you, like me, may find yourself running into a little bit of resistance, this isn't quite the way I wanted it to be. But what would happen is more and more as we embrace what is, it takes all the pressure off. It takes huge amounts of pressure off. When we embrace what is, we're reminded we are the infinite. We are the tree planted by the rivers of living water, whose leaf does not wither, who brings forth fruit in its season. And it's important to remember that, because we will have seasons and cycles where we don't see results. But we will also have seasons and cycles where we step back and we can say, well done. Well done. So who are you? What is your stand? Are you enjoying the process? And if you're not, good. Something's got your attention. And if you are, continue to revitalize that precious, precious connection. The the one thing I realized in my week away, it's so easy to come back. And it's so easy to stay. And if it's so easy, why sometimes do we make it so hard? And I'd like to leave you with one final thought, and it's not a new one. You know what? How many times do you fill your car with gas? We just need to recharge. So what inspires you? What moves you? That is your connection to the infinite. And bringing more and more of that in. Because more and more is being asked of you. So important to bring more and more in. To maintain that connection. And sometimes to simply believe that it's there, even when it doesn't feel like it. I had a major epiphany yesterday, and I was so grateful because we go through those periods where we have wonder and bliss, and then we go through struggle, and then we have wonder and bliss, and I thought, okay, what is it that I need to do to really bring more confidence, more purpose, more excitement, more passion? It's not that I don't have it. It's, sometimes we get tired. So what is it that would help me in my work as I step into more and more of the unknown? What is it that would really help me? And I realized the one thing that I could really do more of is to identify myself with who I was becoming rather than who I was before. And you know what's really cool about that is that as we grow and evolve, sometimes we forget how much we changed and how much we've grown. And so it came to me that I was still living from old identification. I need to embrace what my new role was, where my work is now leading me. And in order to do that, I had to make a commitment. I had to make a choice. So my question to you today is, what are you committed to? Or, perhaps even more importantly, what do you feel you need to recommit to? In my intuition development classes, I encourage people to pick one theme a month that they work with. And I call it taking your stand. So whatever it is that you're working with to bring more in your life, what is going to be your stand in May? Only a few days away. If there's one thing that at the end of May you could look back at and say, wow, I did it. I'm really, really glad that I deliberately chose to work with this. What is your stand going to be for me? Because that is your commitment. So this is not new, but enjoy filling the tank. Enjoy being a tree by the river. And I love drama, so I'm going to be dramatic. Because I really, really like when I own it, I'm just sharing the vibration and we own it together. So this is by one of my most favorite people in all the world, a wonderful man called Derrick. And it's called Commitment. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no man could have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. and in your business and in your home. I think it would be really cool to pick one thing that you want to commit to or recommit to. And take a moment to quickly allow that to come into your mind.